conceptual framework that we have developed, as well as a discussion on the significance of this project. We will also talk about the tools which we intend to employ to carry out this study. The objective of this study is to evaluate the acceptability and readiness of GCC countries for implementing organization development interventions with an emphasis on the perspective of learning organization. Recent studies, which was done by Javin and his team, found that the GCC countries need to develop an action plan for supporting OD interventions, which includes training and capacity building, policy development and implementation, collaboration and networking, and research and knowledge dissemination. Next slide, Farhan. The context of this study is the Gulf Cooperation Council countries, which was established in the early 1980s. To be precise, it was established in 1981, with 6 member states, including UAE, Saudi Arabia, Bahrain, Kuwait, Oman, and Qatar. The primary objectives of the GCC countries or GCC Council is to enhance cooperation and integration among member states in various areas, which include politics, economics, social affairs, and defense. Due to this integration, GCC countries have developed a comparable labor market policies, regulation, and practices. Next slide, Farhan. Now, for the sake of this study, we assumed that the GCC countries as a single labor market. We built this assumption based on 3 facts. The first fact is that GCC countries have similar labor market structure and attributes, which include similar labor market demography. Now, when we look at the 6 countries, and when we look at the demography of the labor market, we find out that most of the laborers who work in the GCC countries are expat. Almost, it depends on the country, but each country has almost range from 60% of the population expat to 90%, depending on the country. So that's one fact, that's one similarity between all these 6 countries. Also, they have a segmented labor market. Now, looking at each of the GCC countries, you will find there are 3 labor markets exist. You will see a government labor market. You will see a semi-government labor market, and also a private sector labor market. Now, each of these labor markets have or has a different bylaws, regulations, and also entities oversighting these 3 different markets. And this you will find it in all of these 6 countries. Also, now the second fact that why we built our assumption that this is one labor market, it's because they have a similar business model. Now, most of these GCC countries, the primary source of income or the major contribution for the GDP is oil-based revenues, and that exists with all of the GCC countries. Moreover, the economies are actually driven by infrastructure activities. And that makes them like similar within the same sphere. The third important fact that why we think the GCC countries, we can treat it as one single entity or one single labor market, is that they have similar challenges and opportunities, especially when it comes to economic diversification, national employment, and labor market productivity. Now, when it comes to OD, there are various efforts have been made to establish OD practices in the GCC countries. A recent research done by Ashwan 2023 indicated that GCC countries need to improve OD practices by creating a collaborative work environment and enhancing employee engagement in decision making. Now, we believe that learning organization can actually facilitate new industries for GCC countries, can also promote sustainable practices and ensure long-term economic stability by fostering culture of innovation and lifelong learning. Next slide, Farhan. Now, in terms of the conceptual model or framework that we came up with, we think it is crucial to assess the readiness and acceptability of OD by examining two elements, by examining the learning organization concepts and the OD values. We believe that having a sound learning organization culture supported by OD values can lead to a successful OD interventions. Slide 5. Now, today, GCC countries, actually, they are going through a major transformation plans. And these plans, actually, they are stated in the visions which has been communicated to the public. Now, each of the GCC countries, they have their own vision. But when we examine these visions, we found that these visions actually, they look at four elements. They look at economic diversification, they look at social empowerment, and they look at, or they are aspiring to have a financial sustainability, and also they look after the environment, and there's a lot of environmental initiatives built within these visions. We believe that OD can impact the progress in all of these categories. But before successful intervention of OD, we need to know if the GCC as an organization is ready to accept changes. With that, I would like to hand over the presentation to my colleague Farhan, who will take us through the approach we are planning to take and the tools which we have developed and the next steps that we are planning to take in order to execute this study. Farhan, the virtual floor is yours. Thank you.
Thank you, Nasser. Thank you. If you have any questions at this point, you can feel free to ask. Nasser is an expert of GCC, and we did a lot of research on the background. So if you have any questions so far, I'm happy to answer. Oh, well, then we will continue the presentations. There were many attempts where different teams are trying to get into the GCC market and trying to see what's working well, what's not working well. There are different OD consultants who reached out and also worked with the culture and environment over there as well. So we started asking questions like, what are the obstacles they're facing, or where OD works the best, where OD is not working the best, or where OD can develop. And then the question came like how we diagnose the work environment or diagnose the success of OD before we implement the change as coming and only nicely said, diagnosing is the process of understanding how organizations are currently functioning, and it provides information necessary to design change interventions. And to design the change interventions are getting into the market with the approach that we believe in. We wanted to see how the market is doing right now. And the idea also came from the recent approach of creating Gulf OD network, where a few of our cohorts, Dr. Fahad Al Shwan, Dr. Abdullah Arman, they are working in Saudi, the UAE, and a few of them are working in Oman as well. They are trying to push OD in there, and they're obviously the Western community, or the community that we believe in and we are working on, and the community in the Gulf nation is slightly different, and there are some challenges and some opportunities out there. So that's where the question came stronger, like, how do we know, how are we going to be successful? And then we came to know about learning organization, and we tried to look into the perspective through the learning organization perspective, where Peter Senge nicely said in 1990 that learning organization is all about thinking and thinking are nurtured, and where collective aspiration is set free. And the same agreed by Watkin and Marsick, where they said learning organization is characterized by continuous improvement and ability to transform. When we looked into OD, and when we talked with the people who was implementing the changes, that they have the same perspective as we implement the interventions. We need the similar kind of environment where learning organization developed tools to understand how the organization is performing. The same, we found different researchers. We looked into how different researchers looked into that same environment, how they analyzed the environment or diagnosed the environment about learning organization. And most of the things authors looked into active support for innovation, because innovation does raise competition, lower price, and create jobs. But more importantly, through innovation, entrepreneurship creates wealth for individuals and for nations. And all this, looking into all those definitions, we also looked into the primary supporting characteristics. And what we found was beautifully the empowerment, commitment, trust, teamwork, communication, all those things are common with the belief of OD, or the values that OD practitioners and researchers believe in, and they prefer to have while they implement the changes. So we looked into the OD values that recently developed by Dr. Yoon and his team through a very deep Delphi study. They found 9 specific OD values that supports the success of organization development interventions. At the same time, we looked into the study of Marshik and Watkins, where they looked into the dimension of learning and organization. And at the same time, there are different other studies. One studies we included on the chart, where you will see they ask some questions to see the organization is ready to implement the change in Malaysia. So we looked into all those research studies, and we came up with the questionnaires of 30 questions that we want to ask, or we're going to ask to see how each organization is doing, or how ready are they for the changes that OD wants to make, or the intervention that we want to plan, which is the diagnosis part of the OD. Here is a quick view of the pilot study that we have designed and already implemented. We're going to share some data. The time we wrote the proposal and designed the study, we didn't have all this information. So we're glad, like, we made pretty good progress in the meantime, and we are able to share some findings and also what we are doing next to implement the project that we are working on. So the survey that we have developed has already been pilot tested, and the goal of our survey is to implement the survey in 3 different countries: UAE, Saudi Arabia, and Oman, which is the 3 major economies of GCC, so that it represents all the GCC countries and represents their readiness and acceptability. So the sample size we're expecting is more than 400 to have 95% confidence level, as well as we have collected so far 16 public administration responses to see how the tools are doing, to check the reliability and make sure the tool is working the way we want it to work. So the pilot study we're going to share will represent data from senior vice president, CEO, director, with 18 to 37 years of experience. So you will see the database on the people who are working there for a long time and the really high officials who are directing the changes or will be the client of OD in any case OD consultant want to make change. So again, going back to the tool, the Cronbach alpha came at 99.99, which says the tool is almost really reliable and there is very minimum room of error in the tool. And it suggests that reliably and internally consistent, what we are trying to measure, we can. And we also went back to the OD network and the people who are trying to implement OD in the Gulf nations and also the experts available in the USA. And we asked them like what they think about the tool, because we couldn't find any reliable or any dependable tool that can diagnose a huge environment or huge concept like Gulf nations. So we are trying to develop a tool ourselves so that we can continue the progress and understand the work environment. So River 1 said the work tool is really looking good, and obviously they made some suggestions to improve, and River 2 included some suggestion, with one suggestion implementing the direction in front of the survey, so which is kind of like minor improvement of the suggestion or the tool. So we are pretty satisfied with so far with the tool, and the 16 respondents, as they look response on our survey, 47% are aged between 36 to 45, 40% people are around 46 to 55 years of old, and they represent a huge number of public administrators. And also in terms of experience, 3 of them has 20 years of experience, and total number of experience range between 18 to 37. Just sharing this data just to make sure like this is what the market we are looking at, and also some descriptive studies which will tell you what the data is looking like so far, and how we are going to interpret the data. So from the graph you'll see like category 5, they are saying it's highly rated. Category 5 is the trust and respect. So considering trust and respect value of OD, they believe they're in really good position. Whereas if you see category 2, which is continuous learning and innovation, there are some improvements the Gulf nation still can do or still can work on. So there will be some strengths that we are going to gather from the tool, as well as there will be some conceptual development we can advise for OD and OD consultant to work better in that environment. So next few steps that I want to share with you that we are planning to do, and we have some timeline that we will be done with this project. So July 2023, we will be share this tool with the broader community. We are expecting more than 400 response from the public administrators in the Gulf nations. The initial report will be done by December 2023, but the second part of this study, so we are going to do a phase 2 of this study where we are going to do the qualitative data. As I have showed you the graph, there are some strengths and some weakness, so we're going to develop a question based on that. What they think they can improve, what they think they're doing great, and how they can facilitate the interventions of OD and the consultants in that market. And definitely phase 3 will be publishing the report broadly for better understanding. So that is all the resources report we have. We would love to get some feedbacks and definitely any questions you have, because this is a work on progress study, and we wanted to share with the broader community to get feedback, or what do you think about it?
Okay, I think we have a chat question for you.
Awesome.
Do we have any questions?
I have a question for you. I'm curious, you have so many stakeholders you're engaging in this process. I'm curious, how are you currently communicating the vision of your work, and how do you plan to engage them throughout the process, knowing that the study will go on for multiple years?
Yeah, thank you. That's a great question. Actually, we are working on this process for more than a year already. Nasser recently joined us, but the Gulf Nation, Gulf OD Network, started last year. And the advisor, Dr. Brendel, Dr. Rothwell, who we are fortunate to work with, they are also working in the same market for a few years already. So it's a long-term process, and as the new people started OD in the Gulf nations, we are forecasting this process or this study will continuously help them. So the promises that we made and the progress we have made is with their support, and we are forecasting in the future we'll continue to make progress with the support that they are making over there as well.
If I may add also to what Farhan has stated, today the GCC countries actually, since and we believe there is an excellent narrative where OD can actually help make this change happens, because OD is actually can be viewed as a change management tool, and this is a very important actually for the GCC countries to understand and utilize. Now, the approach is because now the visions are done at the macro level, but the implementation of it should be carried on at the micro level. So we believe in the micro level, at the organization level, there is a huge opportunities for OD, especially since OD is actually a change driven within and from within the community itself, and we believe that will add a lot of value. Now, it's again, as Farhan said, it's a work in progress, but we see it, we actually can see the light at the end of the tunnel, I think there is a huge potential for this project. I hope that will address the question.
Yes, thank you.
Are you doing most of this virtually? Most of this communication is virtual, or have you had any in-person meetings with your clients?
May I?
Go ahead.
Go ahead, Farhan. Go ahead.
Sure. Yeah. We had a few in-person meeting in State College, because most of these people that we have talked about, they have business in a state college, like with Penn State, and also Nasser is currently in UAE, and also the Fahad Al-Shwan, he's currently practicing OD and joined as a internal organization development consultant. So we do have all the researchers as well as practitioners at the same team, and we do have them over there, as well as we are meeting together in person. So it's kind of facilitating in virtually as well as in person at some point.
That helps to have you, so you've all met each other then, so that really helps.
Oh, yes, absolutely.
Well, we as a team have already we are very much familiar with each other, and we have done a lot of work together. But the question is, how can we convince our clients back in the GCC this is the right approach? And I think this is something that, because as Farhan has shared, that we have established, or there is an OD network established in the GCC countries, and I think this is a very important platform where engagement with the stakeholder can take place, and where the word and the knowledge dissemination can also happen. Therefore, I think it's very important to have people on the ground, especially at the initial points, initial phase of the study. But for collecting the data, I think that something could be done virtually once we understand our audience, and that would be very much virtually could be done.
And that probably is going to continue to be a communication challenge in terms of reinforcing the value as time goes on. Because in long-term projects like that, stakeholders change. People drop off and people come on, so that will be one of your big challenges.
I have a question also. In your pilot, your lowest score was on that category 2 for continuous learning and innovation, as you pointed out, and then highest being on trust and respect. And I'm interested then how if there's a value, a high value on trust and respect, and potentially a barrier point on continuous learning and motivation, how it is viewed to have someone outside coming and trying to educate, if you will, without already having that level of trust and respect. You spoke to it a little bit in talking about your relationship, I think anyway, in speaking about your relationship with some folks already. And so there's a good entry point there, but I'm just curious on how you plan to overcome that as a barrier point. Or if you see it as a barrier point, you may not see it as one.
Oh, that's an excellent question. That's where we see our opportunities are. Like that's where exactly what we want to see. Like as an OT consultant, or when we design a change, we want to know like where they're strong and where their weakness. And also knowing this will help the OT consultant to design an interventions. And that's where our project we are moving forward. Like we want to know how ready and acceptable with the changes are and where they're strong and weak. And that's how we want to guide the further researchers.
Another reason for that result, actually, because as I stated in the presentation, now the demography of the labor market in the GCC country is very unique. It's almost 90%. Some of the countries actually they have 90% of their workforce actually expat, and those expat workforce actually when they come in a contractual basis. So they come in with the knowledge required to carry out the task. Therefore, the employers, they don't see a lot of value in investing in development. And this is a very important area where OD can play a role there, where we can encourage them to invest in developing people for the sake of increasing the productivity and making change happen. Because in the GCC, if the organizations in the private sector, they will act as business as usual, where they have a vision of the country leadership, they are inspiring to change, they are inspiring to bring more investment into the country, into the economies. Therefore, the business community, they have to respond to the aspiration of the leadership in these countries. Otherwise, they will lose a huge opportunities because there are other companies, they will come in and they will take the role, they will play the role required, you know. Therefore, we believe it's a great opportunity. We see it as an opportunity, as Farhan says, for investment and to convince the businesses that is making the investment is it's not an option anymore. It's a must if they want to compete in the new economy, which is the knowledge economy. Otherwise, because the economy is open, and now the GCC countries actually they are seeking to diversify their economy, and they are opening up for competition. So international companies, they will come in and they will take over. If the national companies, they don't put their acts together and start thinking of investing in their employees. And this is something that as an OD consultant, we need to encourage and we need to show the value of that.
Right. Right, and as that starts to happen, it may be very small baby steps incrementally to convince them, because you can't go in and tell people like that, can you? You have to show them. Yeah, you have to show them.
How stable is the expect?
Totally agree. It has to be a baby steps. It's totally. This is why it's a process.
Exactly, exactly. So I hope that you all are going to write an article on this, because this absolutely should be written. Probably a series of articles.
Yeah, your learning's along the way.
I mean,
Yes,
this is amazing. Please write this up and submit it to the Organization Development Journal.
Oh, that means a lot. Thank you. Thank you.
One more question. What do you each find most personally inspiring about this work?
I'll let Nasser go first.
Yes. Well, for me, actually, what's really inspiring is that today we have a great opportunity as a GCC countries to play a very important role in the global economy. We believe that if we utilize OD as a mechanism for change, that will bring a lot of value, a lot of economical value, a lot of social inclusion, it will bring social empowerment, it will bring economic empowerment to people, you know. So I feel it has a lot of value for the development at the individual level, organization level, and also at the system level. Therefore, I think this project is the right investment. And I think putting the time and the effort on this project, especially when we are looking at OD from a learning organization perspectives, you know, that makes it a very unique value proposition. And I think that will bring a lot of value, and the value that actually will have a great impact on society and economy, and also it will contribute greatly to the greater good of the whole world, I think, because the GCC are a very important part of the world. I leave it to you, Farhan.
Thank you. For
Excellent.
me,
Farhan gets to talk. Yeah. Okay.
yeah, for me, it's challenges, and I love research and facing new challenges. We just finished a study in Oman, and we studied hope action theory and the implication of hope action theory in the hospital. And now we started this project just because I love the new challenges and the amount of challenges that we are dealing with, and the connecting with new people and listening to their points and views. Which excites me. So it's kind of pure interest of research that brings me into this project.
Excellent. Thank you
Great.
so much.
Thank you
for those
both
answers.
so
Yes.
much. Don't forget, article, Organization Development Journal. We will be reminding you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Well, thank you so much for giving us this opportunity to present, and thank you so much for your feedback. I think this give us a very positive and encouraging signs, you know. So we are very much have a positive energy to pursue this project. Thank you so much for your feedback.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, all right. Now we are going to transfer to the other Zoom room, and we will be wrapping up a few things. So please join us because we need your input. Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank
Thank
you.
you so much. Thank you.